You ever sit alone at night and feel that burning in your chest, the one that whispers, "You were meant for more"? That fire that refuses to die, even when life throws its punches, even when everyone doubts you. That's not just emotion. It's your calling. You see, most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they trade purpose for comfort, vision for excuses. The truth is, the game of life doesn't reward the hesitant. It rewards the bold, the disciplined, the ones who move even when they're scared. Every day you waste waiting for perfect timing is another day you lose to someone hungrier than you. The real game isn't about luck or talent. It's about mastery, consistency, and control. You can make $10,000 a month or $10 a day. The difference isn't money, it's mindset. When you realize your life is a battlefield, not a playground, you start to play to win. The game isn't outside, it's inside your head. And until you conquer that, you'll keep losing. Discipline is the currency of success. Spend it daily. Every dream, every empire, every transformation that's ever existed was built on one foundation: discipline. People chase motivation like it's magic, but motivation fades. It's discipline that keeps you moving when motivation dies. Success doesn't come to the person who feels like working. It comes to the one who works regardless of how they feel. The moment you understand that, your entire life changes. Most people think success is about inspiration, about some secret formula or lucky break. It's not. It's about doing the boring, repetitive, exhausting things every single day until they turn into greatness. Discipline is what separates the average from the exceptional. It's what turns dreamers into doers and potential into power. Every morning, life hands you a choice: comfort or commitment. The weak choose comfort. They scroll, they rest, they talk. The strong choose commitment. They rise, they act, they execute. Discipline doesn't care about how tired you are, how unfair life is, or how many times you failed. It demands consistency. It demands action. You can't fake it, you can't borrow it, and no one can give it to you. You build it through repetition, sacrifice, and self-respect. Discipline is a form of love, the highest form. It's loving yourself enough to do what's right for your future, even when it hurts in the present. Think about the people you admire, the ones who seem unstoppable, who make the impossible look easy. They aren't superhuman. They're simply disciplined. They show up every day, whether it's raining, whether they're tired, whether no one's watching. That's the game. They understand that each small action compounds into massive results. Discipline is like compound interest. The longer you invest in it, the greater your reward becomes. You miss one day, maybe it's nothing. You miss a week, you start to fall behind. You miss a month, you lose your edge. Discipline is fragile. It's a muscle that strengthens with use and weakens with neglect. Most people underestimate how powerful small habits are. They think success requires massive leaps, but it's really about micro actions done relentlessly. Waking up early, hitting the gym, reading, working when you don't want to, all of it adds up. Every disciplined action builds trust within yourself. You start realizing you can rely on your own word, and that's the birth of self-respect. When you can command yourself, when you can say, "I'll do this," and actually do it, you become dangerous because you're now in control. You no longer move based on emotions, you move based on intention. Discipline is not punishment, it's power. It's not restricting your freedom, it's building it. When you're disciplined, you become free from guilt, free from regret, free from weakness. Most people live trapped by their impulses, controlled by laziness, distracted by comfort. They can't commit to anything because they've never built the mental toughness to endure the discomfort that growth demands. But when you master discipline, you gain an advantage the undisciplined will never know. You can outwork, outlast, and outgrow anyone. You become unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you get harder. Ask yourself, how much pain are you willing to endure for your future? Because success isn't about talent, it's about tolerance. The tolerance for boredom, for sacrifice, for doing what others avoid. Every day you show up when you don't feel like it, you're depositing into your success account. Every rep, every late night, every early morning, it's all currency. And one day that account pays dividends. People will call you lucky, but you'll know the truth. You weren't lucky. You were consistent. You didn't wait for the right time. You made the time right. The reason most people fail is because they treat discipline as an option, not a requirement. They act when they feel good and stop when it gets uncomfortable. But life rewards the consistent, not the convenient. Winners don't wait for energy. They create it through motion. They don't wait for inspiration. They generate it through discipline. You can't control results, but you can control your actions. And when your actions are aligned with your vision long enough, results have no choice but to follow. Discipline will test you. It'll break you before it builds you. It'll make you question why you started. But every moment you push through that resistance, you're rewiring your identity. You're proving to yourself that you're not like the rest, that you can keep your promises no matter what. That's how confidence is born, not through words, but through evidence. The evidence that you did what you said you would, even when it hurt. The secret truth is this: success isn't about having time. It's about making time. It's not about feeling ready. It's about acting ready. The world belongs to those who show up every single day without fail. Discipline makes you dangerous because it makes you predictable in a world full of people ruled by impulses. You're the one who will still be grinding when everyone else has given up. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't look for motivation. Look for responsibility. Remind yourself that every day is a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you choose action over excuse, you're writing your future. Discipline doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't give instant results, it gives lasting ones. And the day you decide to stop negotiating with your excuses is the day your life begins to shift. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's quiet, it's lonely, and it's often invisible. But it's also undefeated. You may not see progress immediately, but with time, the results become undeniable. You start to win silently until the noise of your success becomes too loud to ignore. That's when you realize discipline wasn't a burden. It was your greatest blessing. Because at the end of the day, you can lose motivation, you can lose people, you can lose everything. But if you never lose discipline, you'll always find a way back to victory. Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. It's silent, invisible, and far more dangerous than any obstacle you'll ever face. Failure is loud, it teaches, it breaks you, and it builds you back stronger. But fear whispers lies in your ear until you stop moving. It convinces you that you're not ready, not capable, not worthy. It makes you imagine every worst-case scenario until your dreams feel impossible. Fear doesn't destroy your future. It makes you destroy it yourself by never taking the first step. You can recover from failure, but you can't recover from never trying. The graveyard is full of people who had million-dollar ideas, unmatched talent, and burning potential. But they died with it inside them because fear told them to wait for someday. Someday isn't real. Someday is the word fear hides behind to delay your destiny. The truth is, fear disguises itself as logic. It tells you, be realistic, play it safe. What if you fail? And that voice sounds reasonable, but it's poison. Fear wants you to believe that staying still is protection, when in reality, it's slow death. Life doesn't punish the ones who fail. It punishes the ones who hesitate. Every opportunity you hesitate on, someone braver takes. Every dream you delay, someone else is already building. Fear feeds on inaction. The longer you wait, the louder it gets. The more you think, the less you do. That's how dreams die, not with a crash, but with quiet surrender. People think courage means not feeling fear. That's wrong. Courage means you feel fear and move anyway. Every person who has ever achieved greatness did so while scared, uncertain, and unsure. The difference between them and everyone else is simple. They acted despite the fear. They understood that fear doesn't leave before you start. It leaves because you start. Fear only loses its grip when you face it head on. The first step is always terrifying, but the second one becomes easier, and the third builds momentum. By the 10th step, fear looks small because action exposes how weak it really is. Fear is built in your mind. It's an illusion created by imagination. You imagine rejection, embarrassment, failure, loss, and those thoughts become walls. But if you push through, you realize those walls were paper thin. The things you feared most never happen the way you pictured them. What does happen is growth. You learn that you're capable of more than you thought. You learn that failure doesn't destroy. It refines. You realize the only thing that ever truly held you back was your own hesitation. Fear's greatest weapon is delay. It tells you that tomorrow will be better, that you'll be more prepared, more confident later. But later never comes. Time moves, and so do opportunities. Every moment you wait, the fire inside you dims just a little more. Think of all the things you once dreamed of doing, but talked yourself out of. You had reasons. Fear always gives you reasons. But look back and ask yourself, were they real reasons or just excuses wrapped in fear? Most of the limits in your life are self-imposed. You are not trapped by circumstances. You're trapped by the belief that you might fail if you try. But failure is not the end, it's information. Every failure teaches you what doesn't work and brings you closer to what does. Fear makes you avoid the pain of temporary loss, but in doing so, it forces you to live with the pain of permanent regret. Fear will make you live a small life while convincing you it's safe. It'll make you chase security instead of purpose, comfort instead of growth. But comfort zones are nothing more than slow graves, places where potential goes to die. Every great life exists beyond fear, beyond that invisible line your mind draws to keep you safe. The irony is, the moment you cross that line, life begins to open up. New experiences, opportunities, and strengths reveal themselves. You start realizing how much you've been missing because fear kept you paralyzed. The most powerful people in the world aren't fearless. They're fearless enough to move through fear. They've simply learned that action dissolves anxiety. When you sit still, your mind creates monsters. When you move, those monsters vanish. Fear can't coexist with momentum. You either let fear control you or you use it as fuel. Because fear isn't always the enemy. It's a signal. It tells you you're on the edge of growth. It shows you where your next breakthrough lies. The things you fear the most often hide the life you truly want. If something terrifies you, it's usually a sign you need to do it. You will never feel ready. You will never feel safe. Waiting for those feelings is how fear wins. The only way out is through. You face the fear, act despite it, and prove to yourself that it was never as big as it seemed. That's how confidence is built, not by erasing fear, but by conquering it. Every act of courage weakens fear's control. Every risk taken strengthens your belief that you can handle anything life throws at you. Eventually, you stop fearing failure altogether because you realize even failure can't stop you. It just teaches you faster. Most people spend their entire lives wondering what would have happened if they'd been braver. They replay moments in their minds. The chance they didn't take, the dream they abandoned, the words they never said. That's the true cost of fear, not failure, but regret. Regret is the heaviest burden a human can carry, and it's completely avoidable. All it takes is one moment of courage, one act of defiance against the voice that says, you can't. Because once you prove that voice wrong even once, it starts to lose power forever. So, understand this: fear will always exist. You can't eliminate it, but you can dominate it. You can teach it that it no longer makes your decisions. Every dream you have will require you to face fear at a new level, and every time you do, you evolve. Life isn't about living without fear. It's about learning to act in spite of it. The greatest tragedy isn't falling short, it's never starting. Fear may visit, but it doesn't have to stay. You can feel the fear, smile at it, and still move forward. Because fear may whisper, what if you fail? But discipline, courage, and faith whisper louder, what if you fly? Comfort is a trap disguised as peace. It feels safe, it feels warm, and it feels right. But that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Comfort doesn't come to free you, it comes to cage you. It whispers, you've done enough, when you've barely begun. It tells you, you deserve rest, when you haven't earned it. It tricks your mind into thinking you're satisfied, even when deep down, you know you're not. Comfort is the most seductive prison ever built, and most people willingly lock themselves inside it. You see, life rewards the uncomfortable. Every ounce of growth, every shred of progress, every level of success lies on the other side of discomfort, yet most people never reach it. Because the moment life gets hard, they retreat to what feels easy. They run back to the couch, to the distractions, to the illusion of peace that comfort provides. But that peace isn't real. It's just temporary escape dressed up as happiness. The problem with comfort is that it kills hunger. When life feels too easy, your fire starts to fade. You stop chasing, you stop fighting, you stop evolving. You tell yourself you're fine, but fine is the death sentence of greatness. Nobody builds empires being fine. Nobody changes the world being comfortable. Comfort slowly drains your ambition without you even realizing it. It's like poison. You don't feel it at first, but over time, it weakens your spirit. Days turn into weeks, weeks into years, and one day you wake up wondering where all that passion went. It didn't vanish. You just traded it for convenience. You traded your potential for a pillow. True peace doesn't come from comfort. It comes from conquering the discomfort that scares you. When you push yourself beyond your limits, when you embrace struggle and uncertainty, that's when you earn peace. Because peace without progress isn't peace, it's stagnation. Real peace is knowing you gave everything, knowing you're growing, knowing you're not wasting your life in the illusion of safety. The human soul isn't built for comfort, it's built for conquest. That's why, no matter how much luxury or ease you surround yourself with, you still feel restless inside. That feeling is your soul screaming for more, begging you to break the chains of comfort and return to the fight. Look at the world's greatest achievers. They didn't find peace in comfort. They found it in challenge. They trained while others slept. They worked when others relaxed. They took the pain that others avoided and used it as fuel. That's the irony of life. The more you run from discomfort, the weaker you become. But the more you embrace it, the stronger and freer you get. Comfort wants to lull you into sleep. Discomfort wants to wake you up. You can't have both. You either chase growth and live with temporary pain, or you chase ease and live with permanent regret. Most people think comfort is a reward for success. It's not. It's the reason people stop succeeding. Once they hit a certain level, they relax. They stop doing what got them there. They think they've arrived, but in truth, comfort is just the beginning of decline. It's a slow, silent killer that convinces you to settle. And once you settle, your potential begins to rot. The world doesn't care about what you could have done. It only remembers what you actually did. And you can't do anything extraordinary while sitting comfortably in mediocrity. Discomfort is the path to freedom. It's the gym for your mind, the forge for your character. Every time you push through pain, you grow. Every time you resist temptation, you sharpen your will. Every time you refuse comfort, you remind yourself who's in control, you, not your impulses. But comfort doesn't want you to realize that. It wants you dependent, docile, predictable. That's why comfort is sold everywhere. Fast food, entertainment, instant gratification. It's all designed to keep you comfortable enough to never question your potential. When you choose discomfort, life expands. When you choose comfort, life contracts. You start saying no to opportunities because they're too hard. You start doubting yourself because you've forgotten what it feels like to fight. Comfort makes you soft, not just physically, but mentally. It removes your edge, your urgency, your drive. You stop taking risks because you fear losing the little comfort you have. And that's the saddest part. You end up protecting a life you don't even love. The truth is, comfort doesn't protect you from pain. It creates it. Because the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. The pain of struggle builds strength, but the pain of comfort builds shame. You can't escape suffering. You just choose your type. You either suffer now for growth or suffer later from stagnation. One leads to fulfillment, the other leads to frustration. The ones who understand this don't chase comfort, they chase challenge. They live in a constant state of discomfort by choice, because they know that's where the magic happens. Think about it. The gym hurts, but you grow stronger. Studying is boring, but your mind expands. Waking up early is tough, but you build consistency. Saying no to temptation is uncomfortable, but you gain power. Every great thing in life requires you to be uncomfortable first. That's the universal law of success. Comfort gives you nothing but empty satisfaction. It feels good for a moment, but leaves you hollow inside. Growth gives you pride, strength, and purpose. And that only comes when you stop choosing easy. You were not born to live an average life. You were born to push, to build, to conquer, to become. But comfort numbs that calling. It convinces you to lower your standards, to silence your ambition, to make peace with mediocrity. You start saying things like, "It's not so bad. At least I'm comfortable. I'm fine where I am." But deep down, you know you're lying to yourself. You know there's more inside you waiting to break out. You can feel it every time you scroll through success stories, every time you see someone living the life you dream about. That envy isn't hate, it's a reminder. A reminder that you've been playing small because comfort has you hypnotized. If you want freedom, you have to be willing to suffer for it. You have to trade comfort for growth. You have to seek the challenge, the pain, the stretch. Because discomfort is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It's the fire that burns away weakness. The people who run toward it are the ones who evolve into their highest selves, and the ones who run from it spend their lives wondering what could have been. So ask yourself, are you truly at peace, or are you just comfortable? Because peace is earned, comfort is borrowed. Peace comes from purpose, comfort comes from fear. The choice is always yours. Stay comfortable and slowly die inside, or embrace discomfort and finally live. The world only respects results, not reasons. You can have every excuse, every justification, every story for why you didn't make it, but none of that changes the outcome. Life doesn't reward effort without execution. It doesn't care how close you came, how hard you tried, or how much potential you had. The scoreboard doesn't list excuses, only scores. The truth is brutal but necessary. Results are the only language success understands. People don't follow intentions, they follow outcomes. You could spend years telling people what you're going to do, but the moment you deliver, the world finally listens. Until then, you're just another dreamer with a good story. Everyone has reasons: tiredness, bad luck, no support, fear, lack of time. But the ones who win find a way anyway. The world doesn't remember those who almost did something. It remembers those who did. That's the dividing line between the average and the exceptional. The average person explains why they couldn't, while the exceptional one proves that they could. Reasons sound noble. They protect your ego. They make you feel justified, but they don't move you forward. Every time you choose to explain instead of execute, you reinforce the belief that failure is acceptable if it's explainable. But success doesn't care about explanations, it only cares about results. Results speak for themselves. You don't have to defend them. You don't have to sell them. They command respect on their own. People might doubt your vision, your skills, even your sanity, but when you win, silence follows. The world stops arguing with those who deliver. That's the power of results. They don't just prove your worth, they erase doubt, both in others and in yourself. The moment you produce tangible outcomes, your excuses lose meaning. That's why discipline matters more than intention. The disciplined get things done. The emotional talk about getting things done. Life is brutally honest. It doesn't pay for almost. You can't almost be successful, almost be healthy, almost be disciplined. You either are or you aren't. The results you hold in your hands reflect the truth about your actions, not your dreams. You can tell yourself you worked hard, but the mirror doesn't lie. The bank account doesn't lie. The body, the business, the relationships, they all expose what you've actually done. That's what makes results both terrifying and liberating. They're pure truth. And most people can't handle that, so they hide behind reasons to feel better about their lack of progress. But the top performers, the true winners, they understand that excuses are useless. They know life won't slow down to accommodate their struggles. They move forward regardless. They get rejected, criticized, and knocked down, but they still get up because they know no one's coming to save them. The world doesn't care about how many obstacles you faced. It only measures how far you went. Every excuse may be valid, but it doesn't change the outcome. You can't deposit reasons into a bank. You can't build an empire out of explanations. Only results build reputation. Only results create legacy. People respect what they can see, not what they can imagine. They respect consistency, not promises. The world doesn't owe you credit for trying. It gives credit when you deliver. You can cry, complain, and blame, but in the end, life will always ask one question: what did you produce? What's your proof? Talk doesn't build credibility. Execution does. You can say you're working on yourself, but if your habits haven't changed, you're not. You can say you're building wealth, but if your actions don't reflect that, you're lying to yourself. Results don't require explanation. They expose the truth automatically. That's why the successful live by a different code. They don't talk much about their goals. They focus on creating outcomes. They let their results speak because results are louder than any story. And when they fail, they don't explain it away. They learn, adjust, and try again. They understand that reasons don't pay the price of success, effort and consistency do. Every time you justify failure, You make peace with mediocrity. Every time you take responsibility, you move closer to mastery. The shift happens the day you stop asking, why didn't it happen? And start asking, what can I do to make it happen? And it's easy to convince yourself that your situation is harder than others, that your problems are unique. But that's just fear wearing a mask. Everyone has struggles, some louder, some quieter. But the winners don't let those struggles define them. They turn their obstacles into motivation, not excuses. Because they understand something powerful: results erase history. No one cares where you came from when you win. The world forgets your excuses the moment you succeed. That's why effort must always be directed toward outcome, not emotion. The harsh truth is that the world rewards results because results create value. Your excuses don't feed anyone, don't solve anything, don't inspire anyone. But your results, they change lives. They prove possibility. They make the impossible look attainable. That's why people respect achievers. They bring value through their actions. Every time you produce results, you raise your worth in the marketplace, in relationships, and in your own mind. You begin to see yourself as someone who gets things done, not just someone who talks about it. That shift in self-perception is everything. It's where confidence and momentum are born. The difference between those who win and those who wish is accountability. Winners hold themselves to a standard, not a story. They look at their life as a scoreboard, not a sympathy board. They don't explain, they execute. Because they know that while the world may sympathize with your excuses for a moment, it forgets them the next day. But it never forgets results. Results echo. They inspire others, they command respect, and they create opportunities you could never talk your way into. So stop explaining why it's hard. Stop waiting for understanding. Stop needing validation. Start producing results. Let your work speak louder than your words. Let your actions build your credibility. Every minute spent making excuses is a minute stolen from your destiny. The world doesn't care about how bad you want it. It only responds to how much you do for it. Effort is invisible until it creates results. And once it does, everything changes. The same people who ignored you start admiring you. The same world that doubted you starts applauding you. That's the irony of life. When you stop chasing approval and start chasing results, the approval arrives on its own. The world only respects results, not reasons, because results are proof that you conquered your circumstances. They show that you turned adversity into fuel, fear into focus, and excuses into execution. And once you understand that, you'll stop explaining and start achieving. Because success doesn't speak, it shows. Master your mind and money will follow naturally. Every fortune, every success story, every breakthrough begins not with opportunity, but with mindset. The truth is, your external world will always mirror your internal one. If your thoughts are scattered, your life will be chaotic. If your mind is disciplined, your path becomes clear. Most people chase money as if it's the prize, but money is not the prize. It's the reflection of who you've become. The world pays you for the value you bring, and the value you bring depends on the strength, clarity, and control of your mind. That's why some people can lose everything and rebuild it from scratch, because they mastered the source they're thinking. Your mind is the engine of every decision, every risk, every action. If that engine runs on fear, doubt, and insecurity, you'll always sabotage your own progress. You'll hesitate when you should act, quit when you should persist, and settle when you should rise. Most people aren't broke because of lack of opportunity. They're broke because of lack of belief, lack of focus, and lack of mental control. The moment you train your mind to think differently, everything around you begins to shift. Money is attracted to strength, confidence, and certainty. It runs away from confusion, hesitation, and weakness. Think about this: two people can have the same skills, the same education, even the same connections. One becomes wealthy, the other stays stuck. What's the difference? It's mindset. The one who masters their thoughts turns challenges into opportunities, while the one ruled by doubt turns opportunities into excuses. You can't attract abundance with a scarcity mindset. You can't build wealth while thinking poor. You can't win if you're constantly feeding your fears instead of your faith. Your reality bends to the level of your thinking. So before you chase money, learn to master the mind that controls how you earn, spend, and multiply it. Money is energy. It flows toward those who can handle it with power and purpose. If your mind is weak, money slips through your fingers. That's why people who win the lottery often end up broke again. They change their bank account, not their mindset. They got the money, but they never built the mind that could sustain it. To master your mind means to control your emotions when things don't go your way, to stay calm when opportunities seem scarce, to think long-term when everyone else chases instant gratification. The undisciplined mind spends everything it earns, the disciplined mind invests. The reactive mind fears risk. The trained mind understands that risk is the path to reward. When you control your thoughts, you control your habits. When you control your habits, you control your results. It all starts in your head. The rich and the poor are separated not just by money, but by mentality. The poor see problems, the rich see possibilities. The poor think in days, the rich think in decades. The poor wait for permission, the rich create opportunity. Mastery of the mind gives you power over circumstance because you stop reacting and start responding. You no longer move based on emotion. You move based on vision. And vision is what builds empires. But mastering your mind isn't easy, it's war. Every day you fight against distraction, fear, laziness, and comfort. Your mind will try to convince you to take the easy road, to settle for less, to quit when it hurts. You must become the commander of that inner dialogue. You must train your thoughts the way a warrior trains for battle, ruthlessly, consistently, with purpose. Every time you overcome a mental weakness, you build a new level of strength. That strength is what turns ideas into income. Because once your mind is disciplined, your execution becomes automatic. You don't need to force action. You become action. Money doesn't come to those who chase it endlessly. It comes to those who create value without desperation. And you can't create real value from a mind filled with chaos. You have to clear the noise, the self-doubt, the limiting beliefs that whisper, you can't. Your subconscious mind governs your results more than you realize. If you constantly tell yourself you're broke, unworthy, or unlucky, your mind will make that your reality. But when you start feeding it powerful thoughts, I am capable, I am growing, I am in control, your actions begin to align with success. The more you master your inner world, the more abundance flows naturally into your outer world. People think wealth starts with strategies, but strategies are useless without the mindset to execute them. You could hand a millionaire's business plan to a broke person, and they'd still fail because they'd operate from fear, not faith. Conversely, give a powerful mindset to someone with nothing, and they'll build something extraordinary because they'll adapt, they'll persist, they'll find a way. The greatest skill you can ever develop isn't sales, marketing, or investing. It's self-mastery. Once you master your mind, every skill becomes sharper, every opportunity clearer, and every setback smaller. Mastery gives you patience. It makes you immune to panic when the world is uncertain. When others are scared, you stay calm and see angles they miss. That calmness attracts wealth, because in chaos, those who think clearly make the smartest moves. The market rewards composure. Business rewards vision. Leadership rewards consistency. All of those are born from a mastered mind. That's why mindset isn't something you fix once. It's something you maintain daily. Every morning you must reset your focus, strengthen your discipline, and silence your fear. Your mind is like a muscle. It grows with resistance. Every challenge life throws at you is training. Every failure is feedback. Every obstacle is an opportunity to fortify your mental armor. Money follows mastery because mastery produces results that others can't replicate. When you master your thoughts, you stop wasting energy on negativity and redirect it toward creation. You stop chasing validation and start building value. You stop comparing yourself to others and start competing with your own potential. That's when money begins to flow. Not because you're chasing it, but because you become the kind of person who attracts it. Abundance is a side effect of self-control. When your emotions are stable, your decisions become powerful. You stop reacting to every setback and start moving strategically. The difference between those who live paycheck to paycheck and those who live with freedom isn't just opportunity, it's perspective. The wealthy understand that money amplifies who you are. If you're careless, it multiplies your chaos. If you're disciplined, it multiplies your peace. So don't chase money, chase mastery. Because when you master your inner world, your outer world can't help but align. The universe rewards clarity, and clarity only comes from a mind that's under control. You don't need more motivation. You need mental discipline. You don't need luck, you need structure. You don't need miracles, you need mastery. The day you take full command of your thoughts, emotions, and habits, you'll realize money was never the problem. It was only the mirror. When you fix the reflection, the reality transforms. Master your mind, and everything else, including money, will follow you effortlessly.